Okay, good morning. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, just covering the market preview for Friday the 11th. So, first of all, it's Capital Preservation Day, right? That's the first thing that should be on your mind. Don't have a bad day today. It's the first thing I want to bring up, right? The next thing I want to bring up is how the GEX performed yesterday, and we had really perfect circumstances. So, I want to show this, okay? And I'm going to use the arrow trade as the example. So, um, as you can see, I just left the arrow trade running yesterday, so I don't really particularly care about that part. Why don't I have this linked? Let me see if I can get this linked. Hold on. F5. Linking. Symbol, bar period, scroll position. Yes. 3. Okay. Let's see if this moves now. Well, it's thinking about it apparently. There we go. Okay, so if you go back to yesterday morning, let's forget these fills for a second, because this is all just to demo the arrow trade. Let's go trade. It's thinking about it. Trade. Don't show order fills. There we go. Okay, perfect. And by the way, that whole manual thing was a horrible idea, so I won't be repeating it. Just too much work and distraction. Okay, so look how we started off the day. There was a couple of clues out of the gate. Okay, so first of all, you can see that gamma and delta were both negative out of the gate, and that the call to put ratio was negative, below 1, right? Telling you that bears were being leaned upon, right? So obviously we don't start using it until after 9 o'clock. So if you fast forward to 9 o'clock, here we are. And the first thing that you'll see at 9 o'clock, see how we've pushed with all three channels? So what I'm looking at is the standard deviation, the two standard deviations away from the 200, right? And I'm getting all three channels underneath. So if you just look at that pattern, you can generally see how it rejects out of there. But the white bars and the apex traps or tweezer tops off the white bars, I don't know if you can see that, so I'm going to make it bigger, are all giving extensions down. Does everyone see that? These white bars, the tweezer top off of that, and the white bar down are all giving these big extensions, right? Now, one thing you can argue, right, and one thing we've done in this room is like, well, I want to find the bottom. I think we'll reverse off the bottom. And I'm not trying. I have moved away from that, right? Why is that? Because for every time it works, we get into situations where we end up with 3 or 4 stops. It really causes us to dig out of the hole. If you look through this process, right, when you're underneath the 200, you're looking for the white bar down or an algo down, right? And if one of those bars, like you want to trap in, like if this had an algo, you want to trap into it. This didn't give a very far extension, right? So if you look through that, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Let's go back. If you go back and you follow the process through that open, right? And you waited till 9 o'clock. Let's get this a little bit wider. There we go. So let's go to 9 o'clock. Okay, so you'll see by 9 o'clock, so the conditions changed a little bit, right? You'll see by 9 o'clock that the options actually flip positive, right? That's 9 a.m. Hold on, that's not lining up. 4-8. Let's get this right. Why is that off? Sorry, I'm on the wrong place. Give me one sec. 4:10. There we go. 9 a.m. I apologize. There we go. Let's stay correct. Excuse me. Your call to put ratio is negative, right? Your delta is negative, and your gamma is negative, and your delta is negative, right? So as we roll to the right, you'll see two things. First of all, you're also, again, at that 200. You're at 2 standard deviations away from the 200. There's your arrow down, which, by the way, is still not my favorite trade. It's actually this white bar down, and followed by an algo stuff. This would be coming third right now. It was profitable on the right side of the trade, but the white just outperformed it massively, right? So short, right? That's 909. shorts, right? That's 909 shorts. So if you look early at 908, this would have taken a short, right? Why didn't that fire? Hold on. This should have fired. This should have fired. Oh, I see. This is the arrow trade. Sorry. Ignore it. Excuse me. This would have fired, and then this would have fired, and that would have been your stop. That was the first stop that most people took, right? But then if you follow through on that, this was a stop. This was a partial scale, then a stop. Let's erase this so I can go back through it and you can be clear, right? That's no problem. That happens sometimes. No big deal. Your next trade is right here. That white arrow, that white bar down, that's, I believe, is 2 scales, followed by this entry right here. That is a valid entry to the short side. Big fat trade, right? And again, you could, the reason or the potential for getting the bigger trade out of there is that you're pushing up against the 200, but more importantly, like this is our slow hand right here. Fast hand on the left, slow hands on the right. If we can get all of this to align, meaning this, excuse me, this, and this, all 3 of those to align, right? From a manual trading standpoint, you want to take your entries on process, but then you do want to try to extend your trades out. Even if you ended here and you didn't drag your stop down, you still got your scales, and look at your push to the downside. Like that right there is a significant, your entry was basically 54, and that rolled down almost 100 points, 90 some odd points, right? So very, very good trade. And again, what we're not doing is we're not going, oh, is this going to lift? Oh, is this bar going to lift? Oh, is this bar going to lift? We're just letting it be, right? We don't want to do anything here. We're going to let it rotate back up, okay? Back into, so the reason why the algo takes the white bar down instead of the green bar down is because the green bar, when you get into rough sailing, in smooth sailing, this works great, and you still got to scale. But from a trader assist standpoint, I want this bar, okay? White bar down, and if you look, that may or may not have gotten a scale. I believe it gets 1 scale, comes up, apex trap back in. That's a valid entry, right? That definitely gets its scales, and then you get another apex trap, and it's a white bar down. And if you look through there, right, let's say you entered this, you got scale, stopped, right? You enter again on the 3rd trade, scale, okay? So if you look at that, this never comes back up to stop it. I realize that most people are going to take that trade out after it's gone 49 to 14, and I have no problem with that. But what I'm trying to show you is that we're on the right side of this formula, right? See how those are pushing significantly, right? This is pushing all the way from 43 all the way down to 93. Again, you don't need that many trades when you're pushing on the right side of the formula, okay? Again, you'll see the white bar on the turn is getting the extensions. The green bars, okay, the green bars, which are often good. And by the way, on this over here, because sorry, I missed it, when it doesn't happen till here, this is where we want to go on pause temporarily, even if it means that we miss a trade, right? But I want to show you my mindset at this point, okay? I know that it might be long because we have a cross here, but if I decide to go long, which I'm fine with, and I did, right? But I want to be mindful because the put to call ratio is negative. I know that these pushes out of here, right, and I want them off the 4th channel, are probably going to be shallower, and I'm going to be faster to kick them out. Okay, so generally speaking, the green bars up and the white bars down. So in this case, I'd be looking for green bar up, right? And you'll see through that series of pushes, right? So you'll see through here, even though I had gamma and delta went positive. So this is about staying on process. So let's talk about this for a second. From a manual standpoint, could have you traded this and made money? Yes, but the reason I'm trying to push people away from trying to do this is because if you will stay on process, your execution rate will go high. If you're manually trading, your efficiency rate will go higher and higher on execution, and your profits will go higher and higher, right? It wasn't that you didn't have the read here, you did. It said the market was long, and what I need in this situation is I need a green bar up, and I just don't get it through this series here, right? Which is fine, I can wait, right? The first green bar, if you'll look all the way through here, is this bar right here at 942. I had CPR finally went positive, Gamma finally went positive, Delta finally went positive. And if you took this trade right here, you got clearly paid. That's like the fourth out of 6 trades, I believe, that paid you, right? And what you are looking for over here, so see this as we start to roll over again, see how it got stuck in here? Your early warning sign, because this is always going to lag a little bit, right? Your early warning sign is, see when we get all 3 channels above? When you get all 3 channels above, you know that you have very good chance of the buyers pushing on that, okay? And if you continue with that concept, right? If you continue with that concept, you're going to see that what you're looking for is the green bar up. You'll notice we only got 1. Because look, if you get aggressive, right? Oh, that looks like it's going to reverse. Stop. Oh, this looks like it's going to reverse. Stop. Oh, this looks like it's going to reverse. And no extensions. And your warning sign is that orange channel closing back in. Okay? Very easy to wait. Now watch. You're going to wait. Now see when that third channel gets underneath? That's our early warning sign. Now, I will be able to, if I need to, if this gets really wide and it won't roll, I can reset it at this point. I don't have to, because if you look back over here, this rolled, meaning the put to call ratio, the gamma and the delta all rolled at the same time. Like it was pretty much perfect, and it's right here. Okay, see how they're widening apart right over here? Okay, the CPR has gone negative, right? I can now start looking for my shorts, okay? So if I'm mega aggressive, right, I can just take those white bars down, but what I would really prefer y'all do is wait to get the white bar on the turn or an algo stuffed if you're trying to be really aggressive. But you will see, okay, so if you look here, right, if you will see this is white bar down that actually got stopped, and you would have had to take it here or with the arrow down, one of the two. I don't want to double speak. What I would wait for is I would have taken the stop. This did not get an apex trap. You'll see this apex trapped over here with the green bar down, which is fine if you're aggressive, but the algo itself is going to wait for that white bar down, and you will see when it finally appears right there that if you waited for that white bar down, see how everything's still cross negative? Now look at your extension. So again, what does that require? If you're someone like Dan, who's very good at scalping, right? Sure, you can go to work here. I certainly did. I took some risks in here for shorting, but it's not on process in terms of the most conservative process, right? If you waited for that white bar down right over here, and you knew to push, meaning you leave that trailer, so the normal trade just entered and it got all 3 scales, right? But if you waited to push on that, you actually got that entire roll to the downside, okay? And all you had to do was wait patiently in that case. You will also notice that when we get everything lined up, right? Look at all the apex traps that are successful in this rotation, right? That trade should come back up to the forefront of what we're trading. Sorry, what did I miss? Hold on. Let me see. I missed a part of the conversation. Oh, there you go. So as you keep rolling to the right, you will see again gamma negative, delta negative, CPR negative, white bar down, right? This is also good. White bar, yellow dot stuffed. Look at the extensions on these, right? So it wasn't hard to find good places to get great trades, and you did not have to trade the whole day. Let me show you where by next week I'll have this adjustment. This is where I would have made the adjustment, and it would have been all the way down here. See how we're all the way down? Okay, so see this down here? See how see over here, I'll show you where. It was at 1 o'clock. It's in here. We're way down, like we're down 1,000 points, and there's no way this can cross. Right? There just isn't any way that's going to cross anytime soon. This is when I want that CPR to start crossing, and you'll see that the calls start going up in value. If you watch that line closely, calls start going up in value, but it takes a long time to cross. This is exactly where I'd go, hey, let's reset and get a new read. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to trade this. It doesn't mean that you have to reset. And if you look at the white bars down, right, they still paid you through that run up. White bar, white bar, white bar. But when we get really, it's a combination. So I'm trying to explain why I'm getting a piece where I can reset. On the days when we're really, yesterday we were wide but not so fast. But when we're really fast and really wide, this is weighted. The algo that provides us with this data is really weighted, and it's weighted too far back. We need to get rid of some of that data. Now, when I add this, if you do not want to reset your DEX and GEX, you do not have to, but I will, okay? Because the truth of the matter is if we get into this situation, see this right here, okay? Where if we get too far away, see this right here, this is where your losses can rack up. So first of all, news came out. I don't know what it was, but it did. Someone said something. Trump tweeted something or something like that. White bar down gets stuffed. White bar down gets stuffed. White bar down gets stuffed. Yet see how the delta and the gamma are still negative? Okay, that's why I want it to reset, right? I want it to forget the old data so it quickly swings around, right? So it quickly swings around, not so that we can get long, so that we can shut the algo off, okay? But if you stayed on process all the way through there to the end of the day, you still covered whatever small losses you took in there, and it got paid. I want you to show you this. Short, short, short. So I want to sum up the week really quick to make sure everyone's on the same page. Okay. The GEX-DEX is working as planned. When the market goes wild and really fast, really wide, like 40, 50 on the VIX, the GEX has a hard time flipping over. We're putting in a fix for that, which hopefully most of the time we won't be able to use. The way the GEX-DEX worked yesterday is the way it's worked the majority of the time I've used it up until last week. Okay, number one. Number two, using those white bars as a lead-in will stop you from getting false reads on other algos that will have a higher stop rate, right? And then lastly, what we're really looking for to press our advantage is to get all of those negative and to get underneath the 200 period moving average. Okay, so if you think about it, and you said, Simon, where's my prime time to make money? It's each time we do this, right? Each time we get underneath that 200, we have the gamma negative and the delta negative. That's when you want to press your advantage, not to the long side, to the short side, right? And when it's flipped like this, when it's above, realize, at least for me, I'm going to cut my exit short and get the hell out of here when I'm doing this, right? I'm going to go, oh, I've got to go, right? I'm going to go, oh, I've got to go. I'm going to go, oh, I've got to go on all of this, okay? Because I don't want to get run over. I do not, okay? And I'm going to use green for long, and I'm going to use white for short, and I'm going to be patient and wait till everything lines up. And on days it doesn't line up, I'm just going to chill, because you could have made so much money yesterday, and some of you did. Some people had the biggest day of their week yesterday, right? That's very, very important. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to y'all, Joshua, you need to pay attention. Randy, let's see who else, and Dan. Okay, so this is the procedure, and Joyce. This is the procedure. You can do it at 8:31 if you want. Okay, but go through and do it slowly. Okay, hold on one second here. Okay, so this is the procedure. You come over, number one, you come to GEX source, okay, and you're going to first you're going to disconnect from the server, reconnect to the server. So step one is disconnect, reconnect. Step two, okay, is to go chart, reload, recalculate. Okay. And then step 3 is to come over to your Gex data and hit reload, recalculate. And that should get you set straight, right? Now, occasionally the server has an issue and we'll have to do that step over again, and I'll send out an @everyone to reset that. But that is the procedure. That is the process. Okay? And then we use our 200, we use our gamma, our Gex, and our put to call ratio to know which way to lean. Lastly, it's Friday, right? Fridays have not been good. The 122, I believe, did okay yesterday, but the 122 does not do well on Fridays historically. Ed, what do you got? It's harder. So not everyone will have to reset. You can just leave it as is, Ed. For me, I think the reset is the proper thing to do. So I'm going to pursue that, and I may be wrong, but that's how I'm going to do it. And we'll see. I could be wrong. I'm open to that, and I'm all right with being wrong. But I don't know. Rarely, Randy, it's when I see a map, when I see it so displaced that it can't move. Like, I don't want it to need 300 points to cross, and some days it needs that, right? Some days, so when it's so far spread away, I need it to reset so I get a closer picture. I'm trading in trades that last 2 or 3 minutes with data that's looking 2 and 3 hours old. So, at any rate, no one has to reset. You can just leave it as is. Yeah, like Ed, part of the problem with that idea is that the spread between the Gex and Dex, like what's too wide, what's not too wide, it opens up just a can of worms on the whole thing. So I just need it to cross or not cross, and just keep it set. Right. So it may not work, but that's why yours didn't fire, Dan. So you did not reset. So the process is disconnect, connect, go to the chart on the far left, Gex source, reload, recalculate. That takes a minute or two to reload, and then you go to Gex data, reload, recalculate, and you're good to go. Okay? And then it should fire. It'll start at 9:02. I would suggest, because that 1:30 has gotten chopped up, I would suggest you move your time of ending trade to like 1:05 or 1:10 p.m. instead of 1:30, because that 1:30 has gotten pretty sloppy. Okay? That's my only other suggestion. And also the other suggestion is, look, if you make $3,000 in the morning, like, bank it. That's a good day. You have 20 accounts, $3,000. That's a lot of money, right? That's $60,000. It's a lot of cash. You don't have to keep sitting there trading all day. Even $1,000 across 20, it's a lot of money, right? And these firms more and more want consistency. TopStep's changing their rules so that you have a 50% consistency rule to get their payout, right? So, and if I disagree with the rule, but that's what they're doing. Doesn't matter. No one's asked me whether I agree with it. They asked me for my feedback, which is just, yeah, right. So, at any rate, that's my 2 cents. And again, the reset will be optional. I'll simply say, I'm resetting. And then you can choose to reset or not to reset, depending on how you want to do it. Okay? And that's my 2 cents. I'm trying to see if I have anything else to cover today. I've already made these changes. I am as relaxed as can be. I'm not stressing about today. I've got one quick phone call I have to make out of the gate this morning, and then I will be jumping back in. Okay? So, does anyone have any questions? I'm running it the same as I ran it yesterday. And I'm probably going to replace this chart with the Gex Dex, by the way. Okay, everyone's clear. If something goes wrong, right? So remember, that 2 hour window for me is when I make all my money. Between that 9 to 10:15, really, I consider the biggest opportunity time. So questions should be saved till after that. I'm going to make a full set of videos this weekend so that if you're having problem getting it reset, you'll have a video. It'll be a 2-minute video. How to reset GexDex, how to reset your chart, how to set the different settings on your charts, so on and so forth. I am on GexDex for extreme markets, 4725. GexDex for extreme markets. And it worked just fine yesterday. Worked just fine most of this week, actually. But you do have to be aware there will be times if we get really wide, since I can't reset, that I'm going to say it's really, really far apart. And the big warning sign is if this is showing long or short and we cross that 200, you need to pause your shorts. Okay, I'll put out notes if I'm here to see it, but that's where you need to pause your shorts or your longs, is when we completely cross through this 200. That should not happen. Okay, when you shouldn't be on the opposite side of that 200 when we're in long mode or short mode. Okay, so anyways, that's my 2 cents, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and I appreciate the patience. Okay, be right back, guys. And guys on YouTube, thanks for joining us this morning.